I want to share with you this little secret that I've been holding very near and dear to my heart, but not really a secret, but I'm going to ask that you allow me to call it a secret. And that's my ability to work with Rob Lee. So I don't know, what was it, Rob? Like somewhere back at the end of mid last year, I think it was.
Hmm.
I started realizing the talent that Rob has. I mean, you are one very talented person, and I have said on several occasions in the midst of having this aha moment with you that I believe that you are a freaking genius at what you do. And I have no qualms saying it a gazillion times because that's how many times you spark a new idea in my head or watching the way you do things is amazing. And so I don't want to keep you a secret anymore.
Hmm.
Rob and I have been in business together. I actually hired him to coach me through some things. I know a lot of people say, you mean a coach has a coach? And I always say, of course I have a coach. And Rob is one of those people. And so he's my go-to man, especially when it comes to thinking, thinking like AI. And so I've learned so much from him, and it's time to share him with you. So, Rob, give us a quick rundown on what makes you the flippin' genius that I believe you are. What is it in you? What do you
Well,
believe? What do you want? What do you see? How do you feel? Talk to me.
it's first recognizing in myself that I am a genius at what I do, right? So I don't arrogantly say I'm better than other people. I just simply sit there and acknowledge for myself in the mirror the way you think, Rob, is truly a blessing from God.
Oh,
It's weird, it's strange, it's a little off the cuff. As you well know, I have a very vibrant use of the English language. But
I'll
that's
leave
what
you
makes
alone
me
some.
me, right?
Yeah.
So part of it just comes from that. And I was blessed that I had an old man that lived like that. Not many people know. I mean, you know at this point, but not many people know that my dad, Robert Wade Lee, referred to himself as the deal maker because he was the best damn car salesman I ever saw in my life. And he just knew, like, he knew going into a sale how to connect with the person. So that's the first thing is I just finally look at myself and say, you're the AI maker, baby. Make it AI, right? But the second thing is also recognizing that I need people around me to give me an opportunity to share that gift. And so when I say what makes me what I am, I always go back to the months preceding when I met you at the 23 conference in Vegas. Nobody knew this at the conference except for maybe John L. Woody, but we had lost our boy in August 2022. I had lost my dad. We had lost my dad in February of 2023. If you want to write a book on how to destroy a $2 million direct mail business, I can write that book for you, not with you, for you, because I was so emotionally detached from the life that I had around me. I had become detached from the people that mattered most. And that was finally the point where God said, I've broken you down. I'm not broken you down. You now are willing to listen to me. And
Mhm.
I've waited. I'm patient. I'm glad that you're here. And so I think part of that process for me was, as you well know, I just put some videos up talking about how excited I was to be out there, which it genuinely was. It wasn't forced. It was just like, I'm glad to get away and go someplace where I can just be. And if you remember, when I walked in to set up my booth, you walked up to me. You walked up to me and said, I've been seeing your face all over the place.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was a restart. And then fast forward nearly 2 years later, and we're writing poetry together. Not with AI, with business, right? Like we're coming up with business ideas. We're ditching the bad ones. We're modifying the okay ones. We're coming up with great ones. I mean, we're writing poetry. It's beautiful. It's
Yes.
amazing. I
It's
mean, that's
amazing.
that's what makes me a genius. I just love being around people that I can make better and that make me better. I mean, that's the human
Yeah.
experience right there.
So that was the RIA conference in Las Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and you came as a vendor,
Mm-hmm.
talking to people who had no idea who you were or what you did. And 2 years later, you're, if I can just segue out of our business together, but 2 years later, you're running the communications department for
Mm-hmm.
RIA, which is the Real Estate Educators Association. It's a national organization for people like me who teach and people like you who teach across the country. And you're also running for the director of the board.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not very typical that people step into a volunteer role, which is what you are as a communication director, and say, I want more. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to, RIA, as an organization, I'm willing to take on more and to become a director if the vote goes your way. And I truly hope, for the benefit of the organization, that the vote does go your way as well, because I think you have so much, just like you brought so much to my business.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have so much to bring to RIA. I think you have so much to bring to every business, which is why in a couple of weeks you and I are going to go deeper into business together, which
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, pretty amazing when I can sit and tell you all that, and some of you that are listening to this video, you've known me for decades, and I've known Rob for 2 years, and the impact that you make is pretty huge, and I want to thank you for that, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing what you do with an organization that I also love as much as you do. So look, now let's get back to what you do. What is it about AI that you could tell people that could help shift the way they look at it and or feel about AI in like a minute or two?
Yeah. This is the part of the conversation I love the most, right? Because this is a pen. Let me get the angle right. This is a pen. Thank you, Captain Obvious. The sky is blue, water is wet,
That's a pen.
dirt is dirty. This is a pen, very deep. But when you look at this, the pen has been used to create some of the most beautiful experiences in human history. I mean, we watch Romeo and Juliet, but we feel it. And when you feel Romeo and Juliet, you start to feel Othello. And you start to feel that moment that Iago leans into Othello's ear and starts talking about the green-eyed monster, and you're just like, ooh, you get chills because you feel the vile evil that is written into that character. That's a work of art. It's also been used to create the most egregious, violent, disgusting experiences in human history when we think about the brutal dictators that we learn about as children in school and hear about, as hyperbole through discourse. But it's just a pen, which means AI is nothing more than a pen because it's a tool. It exists simply because we created it. And it exists because we use it like a pen, which means you're an AI expert if you know how to do amazing things with it. You can change the world right now. These people that talk about understanding technology and how to prompt engineer, they're losing sight of what the purpose is, which is to make the moments that we share with one another more rich, deeper, more powerful, more impactful, so that we don't look at moments of sadness as moments of vulnerability. We look at those as moments to share the human experience with somebody at a moment where we need them to share it with us. So, which is just a very dramatic way of saying you're an AI expert. I work with AI, but I use AI. It's better to say I use AI to work with people. The things that you and I have created, oftentimes they're made better by the conversation you and I have. So when I've approached my service with Ria, I've recognized there's something in it for me. Relationships that I need in my life. I need them. Like I just absolutely, I don't need Ria simply from a money making opportunity. I need Ria because I need to have an experience
Yeah.
that makes
People.
me happy because at some point I'm going to be in a doctor's chair or on a roadside or God bless me if it is a final moment with the people that I love the most. And at that point, it doesn't matter how smart I was with AI. I want that experience for me and the people I work with to be so rich that Ria's not only given it to me, the people inside of this family have accepted me into it and accepted me into it for what it is that I need and for what it is that they need. So it's been like the perfect relationship. Chris, Rick, Janie Wood, Michelle Treywood, Jenny Nicely, John Gillum took time to come meet my wife and girls and me in Durango, Colorado over spring break, just for an hour. He got to see the three loves of my life. That is more important than anything else that I could have shared with John. AI is a tool to give me an opportunity to do that. And what I want to be able to do for people inside of RIA is take all of these amazing experiences I have, share it with as many people inside of RIA as I can, and use AI like a pen as a tool to create something amazing.
So I want to connect some dots here because most people do not feel about AI the way you do.
Hmm.
But I do know what I've heard you say time after time after time. And that is the more you put AI to work for you, the more opportunity you have to take your family to Disneyland, the more opportunity you have to be in Colorado to have the experiences with John, the more time you have to volunteer to help change people's lives. Like, and I think that's the key because most people don't sit and say, oh my God, she's so emotional about AI, but it's what AI does for you that allows you to go and have those experiences, to meet those people, to have the
Hmm.
conversations that grow your life, not just your business. And I think that most people do not look at AI that way, much less looking at it as a pen, which I think you've described amazingly. It's what you do with the pen
Hmm.
that makes the difference is what you do with AI. But what you've been able to do with AI and what you are so passionate about doing for other people is to give them back the time, the moments in your life that you will never get back if you keep doing the same old, same old.
Yeah.
And now we have
Abs-
these new tools, and you found out a way to implement those tools and you share that with everybody so that they have the time to go do their Disneylands, whatever that happens to be. For me, last year it was Italy. To be able to be in Italy for 3 weeks and still allow
mhm.
business to run is, like who gets to do that?
It's
And
living
how
the
lucky we
dream.
are.
And
Yeah.
think about it in terms of an educator, right? Writing courses is a process.
Yes.
That process is well taught. You teach the process. Uh, Jan taught the process with the other course that Ria created. It is a process. You follow the process, you tend to have better results. Well, the nice thing about it being a process is you can train an AI employee to
Do it.
execute the repeatable, predictable, consistent part of the process so that you
Yeah.
can go out and spend more time doing other stuff. Maybe it's write more courses. Maybe that's what you love doing. Go for it. Maybe it's spending time with your family getting yelled at by your 4-year-old daughter that's just like you. That's what apparently
That's
gets
you.
me
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
But I can tell you
It's
this.
true, Rob. We have said in this industry for so long that for every 1 hour of completed coursework, it's 10 hours of creation time.
Hmm.
And that's if you don't have to do a lot of research. So you have the opportunity, you have the ability, your AI wisdom has the ability, you have the ability to create a AI to save me all that time. So
Yeah.
when I think of writing a 3 hour class and I know it's going to be a minimum of 30 hours and you can give me that time back, that's a gift.
And not only that, not only can I, I have. Because
Yeah,
the last four courses that John L. and I got approved here in Georgia, it took me 20 minutes to write the outlines for approval for all four courses.
yeah,
It took me an hour and a half to design the 3 hour presentation for all four courses.
yeah,
It took me an hour to do the research and review the research. So you say 30 hours, I can literally write an instructor manual, a student manual, design the slides, and write the course outline in probably a total of two.
yeah, yeah,
Something that I would be happy to give to anybody.
yeah. And just like you said, you still need to bring the content, right? You still
Hmm.
need to bring the juice. You still need to bring the interactive tools that we talk about so much. You still need to bring the experience to the classroom, but all that stuff, the back office stuff is what I call it, right? A
Hmm.
peek behind the office, behind the scenes is is really where you give people their life back. And that's a
That's
huge
it.
statement. It's a huge statement that you and I want to introduce you to people because they need to get their life back.
That's
And
it, right? And
right,
think about the ways that you can do that. Again, we go back to it isn't about the AI. The AI is just a tool to put you at the bus stop with your kids, which is what I value. Like every day, I take
right.
Blake to the bus stop. I go pick her up just about every day.
Yeah, no, well, wait a minute. I do want to talk to that from a
Hmm.
human perspective because your coaching call with me is right at the time that you would be picking up your daughter at the bus stop. And
Hmm.
he and I have this understanding that if he's a minute or two or three late, it's because it's the bus running late because he is not going to
Yep.
miss picking up his wife. And I think that goes back to emphasizing the priority that you put on the things that matter where you don't let work get in the way because you have assistance. I just wanted to confirm that, a lot of people sit and say, well, I want to spend as much time as possible with my kids. No, you walk the talk. And I
Hmm.
wanted to emphasize that. So thank you for letting me interrupt you.
And we can wax poetic about this all day, but I get literally dozens of people on this book every year. The book It's Not Luck by Eli Goldratt. He uses
Wait, wait. And this was not planned,
no,
but
that's it.
that's
That's it.
it. It's on my desk because you turned me on to this author, which is amazing. And
But
I did not know you were going to bring it up. And there it is, because that's the book
it's
I'm reading right now.
it's my business Bible, right?
Yeah,
From a marketing perspective, it's the best marketing book out there. And when you look at all of these other world-renowned marketers, Rob Bailey, Alex Hormozy, Christine Marie, all of these people that I just worship the ground they walk on. They have different applications, but they're espousing everything he says in that book. And that book, whether it be life or whether it be business, essentially all of our problems come down to conflict resolution. You have conflicts between the assumptions you have to make. AI has given me a tool that helps me break that conflict. So
right.
I know if I look at you, Teresa, and say, I'm going to be 5 minutes late because Blake's bus is getting here and I will be there to pick her up. Not I need to, I will be. There's nothing we lose in that 5 minutes. I don't have to be anxious about it. And that feeling of anxiety is what destroys so many people in any sort of business relationship.
Right.
So think
Absolutely.
about it from the perspective of an educator. God, I have to prepare for this course. What am I going to do? How am I going to make up time to prepare for this course? I got to sacrifice time with my spouse. I want to go see this movie, but I can't see this movie because I'm stressing out. It just spirals. But I can tell you, my old man raised us. I mean, it's hard to talk about, but I need to talk about it. I need to vocalize this. My parents separated when I was 9, and our dad had primary custody, right? For whatever reason. But when you're a 31-year-old man with 3 kids under the age of 10, and you're a car salesman that works 70 hours a week, he didn't know how to handle that, but he handled it the best he could. But I also know it tore him up inside when he had to look at his oldest boy, say I couldn't go to baseball games, right? I wanted to play football in junior high, but I had to walk 5 miles every single day with football gear on. to be able to do that. Couldn't do that. I just physically couldn't do it. I was a tall, skinny 12-year-old kid. I wasn't built to do that, right? All these kinds of things that I wish he knew he wanted to do better, but he didn't have a tool available for him to do it, so he did the best he could. And I respect that. I love that. I mean, that's what made my father versus a guy.
Right.
But I also what he wanted for me was to be able to do better than he did. And that means for me to be there at bus stops, to cook dinner for my wife, to just be a big, fat, 6'2" baby man that I am. And again, AI is nothing more than a pen. And I don't ever want to represent it as anything else because the way my life is better are moments like this.
Yeah.
Inspiring somebody to do something amazing at the RIA conference after a 20-minute conversation. Having the freedom to just walk in and be myself and know very well that some people aren't going to like it. And still having the capability to say, it's cool, not for you. I respect your opinion. I'm going to do me. You do you. Let's go grab a beer later. That level of security and confidence, can't put a price on it. And
Yeah.
again, AI is just a tool. I can wax eloquent about this all day. I just love the fact I get to share it with somebody. That's it. That's what matters most. The
That's
more
it.
people I get an opportunity to share it with, the more the world will be a better place for all of us to enjoy together.
I remember the first time I heard about AI. This is a funny story, but not funny. Uh, and people were talking about it and, talking about, oh, I'm going to use it to write courses and all this stuff. And I'm like, um, my name, my company name is Course Creators, and I am a course creator, and I will not use AI to write my courses. And for 2 years, I'm like, nope, not going to happen. No, I am a course creator. Nope, not going to happen. I fought it 2 years. And I had a friend of mine say, you just need to see this. And he showed me something on a Zoom call. And I was just like, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
So the proof was in the pudding, whatever that means. I don't really know what that means. But um, when I saw it, I stopped fighting it. So now my goal today is to get people like me to stop fighting it. So if there are people out there that are fighting it, I'm here to tell you, like, there's no need to, because that pen is useless without you. AI is useless without you. It's
Mm-hmm.
really useless without Rob because of the magic that he does with it. So we get to quit fighting it. And we get to stop being afraid of it, because there are people out there who have come before people like you, Rob, who have planted the fear of, oh my God, you can't use AI. It's horrible. It's bad. They planted that seed in you, and you just need to stop listening to them and start listening to the Robs of the world who can literally help you get your life back
And
and
it
parts
so
of your life. I mean, you're pretty amazing. You're not a miracle worker, but he can help you get parts of your life back when it comes time to your business.
mm-hmm.
Spend less time, get more done, make more money. So he just gave me this aha moment a couple of minutes ago about making more money in less time with less stress, which is basically what he's been saying, like to be
Mm-hmm.
able to show at the bus stop and not stress out about it. I want you to re-listen to this and really hear what he's saying, because he positions AI in a way that nobody really else ever positions it, Rob. I mean, people don't talk about emotions before they start talking about AI. And you start out your whole story about the emotion of your dad and your son. And the fact that you could be in front of people and know that you can make a difference, and then they turn around and make a difference in your life that brings you
Hmm.
out of that black hole that says, come on, Rob, come with us. Um, and so there's such mutual benefit there. And
Hmm.
that's why I really hope that, you get that director board of directors position, because I think you have so much more work to do with people. And I think that's a great platform for you to impact more people. So, so if for those of you that are listening that are members of RIA and you have voting rights, listen to what we're saying and vote in Rob, because I can't wait to see how you help the organization be even bigger and better than what it already is.
Well, I appreciate it deeply
Yeah.
for that endorsement because that's exactly why I want to do this. And there's the immediate people that I get to work with on the board. There's also the people that kind of
That
pick
you
and
have
choose
been
their
working with,
moments.
by the way, because the
Yeah,
board really depends on you to do what you do in the communication department. So,
exactly. I mean, we've kind of we've built
yeah.
AI employees specifically to do things
Right.
like the presenter interviews and break them up into content and be able to do those efficiently and quickly. And I can tell you that every employee or every presenter interview takes me about 20 minutes of work to record and about 20 minutes of work to prepare. That's it, right? That's all it takes me because the process is so well defined and refined at this point that I just have to execute the process. If I feel like it's too repetitive, I just stop myself and say, follow the process.
Yeah.
This isn't about
Yeah.
making everything unique. We're not making bespoke custom suits. We're making content. So follow the process. And I think that mindset has because I've demonstrated it with empathy of how it can be scary to people. I mean, I'd like to think that I've gotten people that wouldn't have thought about AI this way to think about not AI this way, but their experience as leaders
Yeah.
in the organization this way. And that to me makes me feel good. So it's a
Yeah.
win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
And I
You are a natural born leader. Sometimes, people don't recognize that the small impact that you have as you move through your own life really is leadership. And you demonstrate that, and then you volunteer and give your time to make that happen. And you're a businessman at the same time. So, yeah, I just want you to keep Rob on your radar screen, everybody who's listening to this.
I
And
appreciate it.
it's funny because you talk about doing interviews and then doing 20 minutes to prepare. And I was sitting here saying, wow, I got this great impromptu, by the way, this impromptu moment with you to actually have this conversation and record it. No, most of the time I would sit there and say, oh my God, now when am I going to have time to edit it? And when am I going to, and then and then it'll probably like sit on my computer and I'll never use it. And all I have to do is say, hey, Rob, put the process to this video and then send me the end result,
Hmm.
which makes my life easier. But here's what's more important. It doesn't sit on my computer that nobody gets to see. It actually gets out there to the world.
Hmm.
And you all need to hear the messages that we're sharing with you right now. And so that's where the bigger impact comes from. And so I'm not worried about like, oh my God, am I going to have to take all weekend to edit this video and make little clips? And should I do reels and this? And it's just like, Rob, just do your magic and then send me the finished product, will you? Would you do
And
that?
of course, because
It,
the beautiful thing about it is, Teresa, it's not magic. It's process,
no,
right?
it's a system and a process. Plug
Just a
and
system.
play, rinse and repeat. I mean, how many other easy things can I say about what you teach can do for people? I mean, it really is rinse and repeat, plug and play, get your life back.
Everybody wins. I mean, going back to the
Everybody
book,
wins.
right? Eli Goldratt said there is not a situation. It's not a good situation if somebody loses. Everybody has to win. Everybody has to see value. Everybody has to get their own value. Everybody has to identify the ways to contribute to that value, but it has to be a win-win.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, my old man thought he lost a lot until he got to the, later stages in his life where he would say things like, you know what? I'm with your stepmom. I'm with Donna. Doesn't matter what happens. Life is good. He
Yeah.
understood it, right? And yeah, it's painful to think now at this moment, now that I can process it. It's painful. It's painful to remind myself that when I look at the last text message I sent to him, the only word I said to him, the last word he saw from me or heard from me was yes. That's it.
Yes.
It's if I got stuck on that, then I never go anywhere. But it's comforting to know that it
Yeah.
didn't the yes said so much more to him than just
A word.
a word. He was
Yeah.
comfortable knowing whatever happened in life, he could accept it. And he genuinely did. So, I mean, he genuinely, that's how he talked. So, it's how he thought, it's how he felt. And, you know,
Yeah.
if we all win by having a better human experience with one another, then why would none of us, why would any of us want to avoid that? Why would none of us want that?
You know, I laugh about the book being on my desk and you bring it up, unbeknownst to me that you were even going to talk about it. But the thing is, the moments that we had just in general conversation, and this is really impactful. I want people to really hear this. The moments that you think you're having in passing conversation have so much more impact than you even think about. So, so pay attention, right? Because you told me about the goals, the first book that this guy wrote. And of course, Rob made a recommendation and I bought it on the spot. And I read it and I liked it so much. And then he started talking about this book. It's not luck. And as he talked about it, I bought it on the spot. Because when people recommend things to you, you should listen. Number one. So I want to share that with you all. When people recommend things, you should listen. And when you have something good to share, you should recommend it.
Hmm.
Because, and uh, because those aren't passing moments, those are impactful moments. And we have those opportunities at any time in our life to have passing moments that are so impactful that they are no longer passing moments, they're impactful moments.
Hmm.
And you sit and you say, well, Teresa, daggone it, it was just a book. But the way the book was written was different, right? The Goals is written as a business book that's written in fiction. This is written in fiction, but it's a business book. That's unique. That is so unique. And I would not have had the experience of reading these and the message that's changed my life if it weren't for Rob in a passing conversation about, hey, have you heard this book called The Goals? And all of a
Hmm.
sudden now I'm 2 books deep into it, now teaching people how to break through the theory of constraints because it's part of my coaching program. And it's just like, oh my gosh, nothing's passing moments. Everything are impactful moments. And I think you got a ton of impactful moments from your dad. Thank you for sharing those with
Hmm.
me. Thank you for sharing me with you, and allowing me to share you with my group of people, my tribe,
Well,
because
and
it's an
and
honor to be able to put you out in front of people and not keep you a secret anymore.
thank you for the privilege because I am a bit of an attention whore. So the more people that get to hear me talk about myself, I certainly feel better by
Well,
it.
then I'm glad I gave you the opportunity.
But joking
It was
aside, I mean, again, my life has never been more fulfilled. And to be perfectly transparent, right? I had to take myself through a bankruptcy process. I had to start with nothing.
yeah,
I mean, and this will be the last story I share because you could literally have me talk about this stuff for 10 days and I could stop or I could never stop and keep
never
going.
stop.
But one of the guys that I learned a lot of the AI lessons that I learned from is a guy by the name of Jeff J. Hunter. And I recommend everybody who has any interest in AI go learn from Jeff, right? Nothing to do with real estate, everything to do with life. I bought his certification, which was $3,500, because I literally had to spend the last cash that I had to get under the liquidity amount to be able to file and start my rebuilding process. I mean, I wouldn't
Wow.
have bought it otherwise. I mean, you talk about blessings that you don't
Yeah,
recognize as blessings.
I'm
And
with
so
you.
I told Jeff this. I said, look, man, you just have to know, like, I saw what you had as the same as anything else, right? It's another certification course, another guru. And I'm so glad I was wrong. And I'm so glad I was my hand was forced because you took such a big chunk of change for it. And Jeff being the guy that he is, right? I've never met Jeff in person. I've talked to him on Zoom calls, I've shared messages with him. I could feel the emotional response he had to what it was. And it wasn't about the fact, like, I'm glad you're learning how to use AI better. It was, it means the world to me that I was able to help you.
Make a difference.
I mean, and look, Jeff makes a boatload of money. I mean, he just is a good dude, though. I mean, that's just it. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, it's a gift from God that I didn't recognize at the time for the gift that it was. And that's why AI is meaningful for us. There are plenty of people out there that talk about technology. If what you want to learn is about technology, go find someone that is a network engineer because they'll talk to you about technology all day. They'll talk to you about how all of this stuff is delivered. They'll talk to you about the quality of the cables and, 5G technology and light speed and digital versus analog. They'll bore your ear off unless that's your thing. You want to talk about how to make your life better? Talk to people that may or may not have anything to do with RIA or real estate or technology, but they're people who know how to talk about their perspective on life. And I just want to bring my perspective to the board of directors to contribute and make them better, for them to make me better, for us to collectively, I mean, you talk about GSI being a collective experience, for us to collectively experience what it takes to improve and expand and grow and enrich an organization like this.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's it. I would cherish, it would be such a privilege to be in that position because it's a position I want to be in, not to be a leader, but to be a contributor and honestly a taker in some sort of way, right? It's a win-win. People are taking and contributing at the same time, all the time.
You can't help it. It's the law of reciprocity. You cannot help it. And so you might as well. I read something recently that says you can't change the laws of the universe, so you might as well figure out how to work the laws of the universe for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the law of reciprocity. You give, you get. You can't help it. Hands down. I want to say something that you just provoked a thought in my head. When I was at United Parcel Service, which is now called UPS, we had a tagline that we were the biggest ship in the shipping industry. That's what we put out front to the general public, right? And we were. And I would be sitting when I was in the ivory tower in corporate America, we would sit and we would talk about change that we wanted to make happen in the industry and within the company. And here's how we took that tagline and we turned it around and said, sometimes it takes a really long time to turn a really big ship. Well, we would say that behind closed doors. What I see now, many years later, is the ability to take things like you have and now even turn the biggest ship within seconds. Like, it's not the way it used to be. And sometimes our mindset keeps us locked in the way it's always been. And now we get to look at things and sit and say, they don't have to be that way. If I were sitting in the ivory tower again with United Parcel Service, knowing what I know that you know about AI, it would be a no-brainer to say, we need to bring people in like Rob who can move the ship as fast as possible because we don't need a ton of time to make change. The world has changed fast enough and we either have to keep up or we're still living in the past. And when people talk about, anxiety, I'm going to tell you straight up that if you have anxiety about anything, it's because you're living in the past or you're worrying about the future. And I'm here to say that, like, you have a way to shorten the path, cut the past of, I got to work hard to be successful. I got to put in my time. I got to put in my effort. I got to do more to make more. That's not the world we live in today. And so we can cut those ties by some of the things that and we don't need to fret about the future because you are living the future right now today by looking at things like AI assistance. And so as I talk to individuals who are business owners, think about that. When I talk to people who are owning organizations, think about that because we don't have to be stuck and we don't have to worry about what's coming. We just have to be what it is today and figure out how do I make that work for me where I am right now. Huge.
And this is the funny because you just sparked a thought in my head, right? This is what makes you, if you're watching this right now, this is what makes you an expert in artificial intelligence. And nobody's probably ever said that to you that's technology oriented. I don't consider myself technology oriented, but I am very good at process, which makes you an expert because you understand process. But you talk about these modern tools. These modern tools elevate the constraint of time, which we have in our business. But the process of change is actually not that different than it was in the 80s, than it was in the 70s. You hit the nail on the head. It's about mindset. When Toyota would export their management system, the Toyota method, production system, TPS, companies that had nothing to do with automotive engineering would hire these Toyota executives to come into their facility.
Yep.
And these Toyota executives would look at what's going on, look at the flow of everything, roll up their sleeves, and immediately start moving equipment. It wasn't about it wasn't about anything other than we're not talking about mindset because you either have the mindset to do what's necessary to improve your flow or you don't. We're here, so we're going to assume you have the mindset.
Yeah.
Let's go change it.
Let's go.
And so what AI gives you the permission is really no different than what I tell you to do, which is stop telling you or stop telling yourself the same thing everybody else tells you what you have to do. Just roll up your sleeves, start moving around your equipment, document the process, give it to your AI employee. In 20 minutes, you're doing something that has totally moved the equipment. I mean, I love having this conversation with people because I love people telling me it's against the rules what I'm doing. Why?
Yeah. What rules are we talking
Yeah.
about? More money,
It's
less time,
it's
less stress.
against you're not waiting your turn. Well, you're right. I'm an impatient person. I'm not going to be told what my turn is. Welcome to Rob's personality, wherein I am an ENTP. I'm a debater personality. When you tell me something has to be done, I'm going to ask the question of why. It creates problems in my marriage when I sit there and look at my wife, who is the exact opposite, and she says, I need you to do this. And I look at her and say, why? That seems kind of dumb. Drives her crazy, right? Drives people crazy when my 4-year-old daughter does the same. But at the end of the day, in business, you don't need permission because you're not immoral by making change. You're just convinced you've convinced yourself that you need something you don't.
Yeah.
You've convinced yourself you need permission. You don't. Nobody arbitrates your success except for the collective marketplace. But the greatest thing is the marketplace doesn't care what you do wrong. The marketplace cares what you're doing right.
Right.
So it gives you an opportunity to fail over and over and over again, tinker, change, modify. And honestly, if people are threatened by that, do more of it. Do more of it. Because
Yeah.
I and my AI employees will be here to look at you and say, bravo, friend. Bravo.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have I said to you, let's start burning some shit down? How many times do I say, let's start a revolution? I mean, these are the terms that I love using because that's exactly what gets me excited. It's what gets
Yeah.
everybody excited. You know, spike the football. I think we're done. I could go on like this for days.
We'll put a bow on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Appreciate you
it, Teresa.
very, very, very much. I was laughing very hard. This is the last thing we'll say. I was laughing very hard because I had my niece's kids here with me the past week, and one of them looks at me and says, "So who do you work for?" Because I work out of my office, out of my home, and they saw me a lot. And I'm like, I work for myself. Like, I'm the boss. So you don't need permission. You are the boss of your life, nobody else. Even if you have a job, you're still the boss. So make boss decisions, right?
Hmm.
Make boss decisions. And yeah,
I mean, I like saying I don't work for anybody. Nobody works for me. I get to work with amazing people every day,
yeah, there you go. There you go.
right?
All
So,
right. Okay, Rob, thank you so much. I'm gonna like leave this video in the hands of your AI assistant. I'll just I'll wait to see. I want to say so bad. I want to see what magic you create. And I know you're going to tell me it's not magic. It's just a process in the system and you've AI'd it. So go
mhm.
AI this video and let's give it to these people who really need to hear what we just talked about.
I love it. You'll
Cool.
get something here. Blake's bus lands in about an hour. I'm
That's
hoping to get
right.
you some stuff before then.
No problem.
All
All
right.
right, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Teresa.
listening. Appreciate you. Rob, thanks a million. And I'll see you soon.
Talk to you soon, Teresa.
All righty. Bye-bye.